time.
Okay. I want to start by welcoming everyone to the meeting this evening. It's a lot more than we typically have. It's great to see you here. Let's all start by standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I could ask everybody to remain standing for a brief moment of silence for your specific intentions. Okay, please be seated. Also want to remind everybody as we're getting started to make sure you turn off your phones if you don't mind. Thank you. Okay, let's start off with presentations. Chief Cook.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening. Good evening.
This evening, I'd like to introduce and swear in the fire department's six most recent career firefighter paramedics. So the six of you would come forward. First of all, I'd like to introduce to you firefighter paramedic TPs, firefighter paramedic Dustin Geiger, firefighter paramedic Tyler Seibel, firefighter paramedic Shane Schnell, firefighter paramedic Jeff Benzie, and last, firefighter paramedic Richard Lewis. All six of these gentlemen have been employed with the department at part-time capacity, ranging anywhere from several years to just maybe a few years. But they all bring various backgrounds to the department and to the community. They've been hired to address some of the staffing challenges that we face on a day-in, day-out basis. So, with that, I wish them all the best of luck in your new capacity to push the department at this time. There's challenges with it's great once here. All right, if you would, raise your right hand. Repeat after me, please. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. That I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. And the Constitution of the State of Ohio. And its bylaws. That I will faithfully execute. The duties of a career firefighter paramedic. In and for Colerain Township. Hamilton County. State of Ohio. To the best of my ability. So help me God. And your family. For next presentation, I'd like to recognize a group of lifeguards from Further YMCA. June 11th, there was a swimming accident at the complex, which a group of lifeguards did as they were trained to do. They took the victim from the pool and began aiding
If I could have the Clipper lifeguards come up front here, please. As they're coming up, I just wanted to give a little bit of background of what we're dealing with here. Across the United States, every year, about 400,000 out-of-hospital cardiac arrests occur every year. Without any intervention at all, a cardiac arrest is 100% fatal. Early CPR and the application of AEDs can increase a person's likelihood of survival, and the American Red Cross teaches about 20 million people a year, gives them the tools to help save a life. These lifeguards ahead of us receive their initial training of what to do in case of a cardiac arrest, how to remove a lifeless victim from a deep end of a pool, how to apply life-saving equipment like oxygen and AEDs. They then perfect these techniques over countless hours of practice and repetition. They perform the action so many times that their actions become second nature. There's not a whole lot of time to waste when we're dealing with a person in cardiac arrest, so critical situations must be recognized, decisions made, and actions taken all in split seconds. This is where the lifeguards at the Clipper YMCA shined on June 11th. On June 11th, 2016, at approximately 2 p.m., 58-year-old Charles McCullough suffered a medical emergency as he dove off the diving board at Clipper YMCA. He failed to come back to the surface of the water. Clipper lifeguards instantly recognized that the male swimmer was in distress and reacted immediately to assist him. When they arrived at his side, they recognized he was pulseless and not breathing. They took charge of the situation and removed him from the deep end of the pool, where the lifeguards then medically assessed him and took appropriate steps to revive him. An automated external defibrillator was immediately put to use, while the lifeguards and civilian nurses on hand performed CPR. Members of the Colerain Fire Department arrived and took over the patient care. Prior to transporting to the hospital, Mr. McCullough they were able to restore a pulse in Mr. McCullough as they were transporting to the hospital. After arriving at the hospital, he was treated and transferred to the ICU. Unfortunately, Mr. McCullough did pass away, but not before his entire family was able to come in, some of them from out of town. They were able to come in, pray with them, and say their goodbyes. Without the quick action of the lifeguards and their recognition of a swimmer in distress, the family would not have been able to have the closure that they were able to have here. I do have the McCullough family here today, if they could stand up. The McCullough family was grateful to have the right people with the right training in the right place at the right time, and for that they were able to come in and say their goodbyes to him, and they wanted to say thank you. So this evening we'd like to recognize the lifeguards from the Clipper YMCA for their actions on June 11th. Their willingness to jump in and get involved are a testament to their training and their work ethic. We recognize the countless hours of training they must endure, and on this day their training and dedication paid off. I had the opportunity to meet with these young men and women following this incident and was impressed by their caring and compassionate attitude. Mr. McCullough's family wants us to recognize these lifeguards and acknowledge the work and training that allowed them the precious time to say goodbye to their loved one. We do have a plaque. I do not have it with me, or okay. One thing I was missing. We do have a plaque we're going to present to the staff today to be displayed in the lobby of the Clipper YMCA. It's a community recognition award, and it reads, presented to the lifeguards and staff of the Clipper YMCA. The Colerain Township Department of Fire and EMS hereby honors the lifeguards and staff members who came to the aid of a swimmer who suffered a medical emergency while in the pool at the Clipper YMCA on June 11, 2016. With their dedication and training, these individuals came together to render the best possible first aid, including CPR and the use of an AED, while awaiting the arrival of Colerain Fire and EMS units to provide advanced life support to the patient. Tonight we're recognizing lifeguards Ethan Barnett, Liz Kroger, Andy Miller, Abdu Ndow, Austin Fettinger, Rachel Wells, and Alec Whitman. Staff members Jenna Eigel and Senior Program and Susan Late, Associate Executive Director from the Clipper YMCA. Presented today, October 11, 2016, signed by Chief Frank Cook, Chief Alan Walls, and Chief Will Mueller. Thank you very much.
my position as a police officer. Jamie, will you step forward? Jamie County was hired in the Florida Police Department in 2001. Since he started the police department, he served as a patrol officer, school resource officer, code enforcement officer, youth representative, the assistant with our accreditation, certification, and serving an officer in charge. Basically, any local police department agent Jamie would step up and fill that role. His dedication to the township was very, very rare. His history with the department makes him especially compared to Lee. He's always trying to teach other guys how to do the job. It just comes naturally. I'll tell you, no one's worked harder than this man in this position. Every hard time we've had, every opportunity we face, you've been right there with us. I'm proud to call you a friend and proud to have you the leader for the position. Do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and the bylaws. Will abide by the Florida Police Department initiatives I state. Code of ethics, rules and regulations, police department policy and procedure, and will faithfully discharge the duties of sergeant. In Colerain Township, Colerain County, State of Ohio, and that's my goal. Several years ago, the police department started a tradition of honoring employees and officers that served 25 years at the police department. That was under then Chief Elect's direction. But much like me, it's just a stick. If I look back a couple weeks ago to see who was elected to receive the honor, I said, Dan, perhaps put himself down. The purpose of this award is to honor people who have dedicated their lives to the betterment of the township and the police department. And absolutely, that's true. Dan started his career in 1989 at the police department as a patrol officer. He was a fight officer, he became a sergeant, and then he was the department's first lieutenant. He also was the first chief of staff police officer to the highest rank in the police department. And now he's attached to the district. He's there for the full run here. Dan is responsible for making our department what it is today. His leadership, his efforts, that's the place that we do for all the other people. Dan's a mentor in front of me, and I'm honored to have him up. And we'll see this 25 years of work. If anybody got a order for Dan, you know what, that he makes the big party. 2 years late, so I apologize.
Okay, Clifford Parks. Steve.
I'd like to introduce Dr. Martina Stanton, Associate Professor at the University of Cincinnati. Early Childhood Education and Human Development, and Eric Schmidt, under our Colerain Equipment Services. They're going to be giving a presentation on potential grant opportunities at Clifford Park.
Awesome. Thank you. Township.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
We are here we're hoping to collaborate with the Board of Trustees and Colerain Township to develop a sensory motor playground at Clifford Park. And you can see from our credentials, we have an extensive background in special education. I have been all over the eastern half of the United States doing various projects with children with special needs. And this grant is from the National Institutes of Health. It's a federal grant. It's an R21, which means it's a development grant, and it's 2 years in length. The maximum budget is $275,000. It's not a matching award. If we were to get this funding, it pays for the entire all aspects of the park itself. The only thing it doesn't cover is maintenance, and the grant cannot be charged to use the land at Clifford Park. If we were to get this award, the proposal's actually due on Thursday, and we will know around winter 2016, 2017 when we would be received, if we got funded or not, and then the money would come around the spring of 2017. So what we would need from the board, and we'll show you what we hope to develop, is a letter of support indicating that you agree to collaborate with us, with the lines stating that you understand that the grant cannot be charged for land or maintenance, and everything else will be covered by the grant. And this is the first aspect of our sensory motor playground. It's phase 1, which would occur in year 1, which is a tactile visual maze, and I'll let Mr. Schmidt talk a little bit about it.
This particular type of equipment, if you can see up the pictures, the shadows on the ground, those shadows move around, they spin around. And what we have, that is actually an existing park up in Beaver Creek, Ohio. What we designed for Colerain Township, those spinners won't necessarily just be shapes, they'll be butterflies and dragonflies and like a carp, of course, or Colerain. And there will also be a tactile maze, which is extremely cool. A lot of color, a lot of shape, a lot of sensory motor stuff going on, a lot of tactile stuff for the kids with the disabilities to touch and play with and feel and get involved with the value of play. One of the things that we really hope to do with these types of playgrounds is to have an opportunity for the kids with disabilities not only have full play value at the community parks, but be able to interact and play along with traditional developing kids on the same type of equipment. So the interaction can grow and friendships can be built, and further on down the line. So everybody is kind of working together in the same play area, and what it is it functions very, very well for autism and with SDA, but it also functions perfectly well for typically developing children.
Phase 2 is going to be a musical equipment park, and we also, because we're focusing on children with autism, because they tend to get overstimulated very quick, we have boulders for climbing for the typically developing kids or any kids who would like to climb, but it also has an enclosure for children with autism when they need to go inside something and calm down. So we have those would be throughout the sensory motor playground. Does anyone have any questions?
Steve, do you have some type of picture of the footprint of Colerain or Clifford Park so we can understand where it's going to be situated, or at least describe?
It'll be adjacent to the game time equipment that's there. Between the game time equipment and the walking path, there's a grass area. That grass area will have that entrance to the walking path there. Will be the entrance to this big part of the playground. So we're not adding it. We're extending the playground to add more events, more playgrounds. So it's going to be the same area. The footprint is going to be from the parking lot, the grass area between the walking path and the playground, down past where the sand area used to be. So that's the area of the footprint we're looking to use.
What would you guesstimate? Hold on a second. Thanks. What would you guesstimate to be the incremental maintenance that we'd incur annually?
As I discussed with Eric and refresh my memory, the first 3 years are full warranty on all the equipment. After that, 1% roughly is what you can estimate annually.
If you were able to, like, when we do a project of this scope, what we like to tell the municipalities is if you were able to keep 1% of the budget cost. And now, if the $275,000 is not the budget of the playground, the budget of the playground is $150,000 because there's other expenses between UC and so
1,500 would be the
right.
number.
So if you say put that away every year, 5 years from now when you need to do maintenance, you have the funding to be able to do maintenance.
Super.
So it actually, it's just common sense because even everything that's used, especially this is new, big, shiny. The first 3 years, of course, are under warranty for the manufacturers. Myself being one, being the actually on-site manufacturer of it. So, and we're local here. Our company's right down the street. We're based out of Colerain Township, so we're kind of really looking to bring this home and have our community.
Normally, I'm reticent to sign up for any incremental cost to the general fund, but in this case, I think it's an exciting possibility for the township, and it's certainly something I can get behind. My colleagues agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's important that our parks are a good place for all kids to play and to have a space to go to. I'm fully supportive of this. I think the $1,500 maintenance cost per year is well justified here, and I'm excited about this project.
And it's after year 3, and as we think about our long-term general fund situation, we've got some debt that's retiring in the early part of the next decade. So, I think it works.
This hits home for me. My godson's autistic, so I really appreciate your efforts, and if you need anything, please let us know.
So, Mr. Malloy, let me ask you to draft a letter of support. And
Excuse me, Jeff, I already drafted a letter of support. It's in the packet, so basically if you want to go ahead and approve the letter of support, I can get it.
okay. Would you like us to sign it tonight or over here? Or?
Actually, I drafted it and signed it, if you don't mind.
Okay. Perfect. Sounds like you're in business.
Great,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's move on to citizens' address. First up tonight is Debbie Howard.
I have a quick question about the maintenance on the storm sewer in our neighborhood
Which is where, ma'am?
on Millwood Lane.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been sitting there now waiting to be fixed since February of 2015. So, and I did talk to Steve a couple times, and he said it should be done by,
What was the address? I'm sorry.
it's right there on the corner of Lilwood and Lord Linda, right behind the Lord Linda Bridge. And when you were down there at the bridge with us in that meeting in the summer, you said it should be done by July.
What was
The whole thing around the storm sewers caved in, the whole street.
There
And
was
so,
something parked on there, wasn't there?
pardon me?
There was something parked on there, if I'm not mistaken.
They've got big cones that they put down
Equipment or
there.
something. No, I don't know what. I thought something caused that. Because I remember looking at it myself. But do you have an update on that?
It's in the current contract, so I'm estimating it'll probably be November to December when they're out there to fix it. That's the estimated time frame.
Okay. If you can do anything to accelerate that, I'd encourage that. It sounds like it's been in that state for a while.
Is it allocated in our budget though? Okay. Well, that's
I just hope there'll be cones left, because kids come across the bridge and they take those cones, so some of them are gone already. We've had to bring them back several times, but we're just kind of wanting an estimate of when that's going to be done. So, okay.
Thanks, ma'am.
Thanks,
Thank you. Mike Parsons.
Good evening.
I don't know. Yeah, the whole diatribe worked up was going to come in and unload, but I'll tell you what, there was a lot of capable and qualified people that got their due tonight, and I think I'll just retreat quietly and respect everything that was conferred. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Laura Dakin.
Hi, I just wanted to bring to the attention of the trustees that our church, I am a resident of Colerain Township for 50 plus years. Worked with Mr. Malloy in the neighborhood watch program at Hillendale. I've recently been in contact with Mr. Denny, and I know Greg. So I'm wanting to try to, through our church, I've seen some things going on in Northside and some other areas in the and different towns that churches pulling together and doing various things within the community. And I think that all of you will probably agree that our community needs some community pulling together. And so I didn't know if I needed some kind of approval or just to let you know what we're trying to do. We're going to send letters out to all the churches over on the east side of Colerain, because that's a big bite to start with. And our church, like I said, is on Pittman Road, Disciples of Christ. And we're going to try to see if we can collectively get them together to do things like many churches are doing things individually, but if we all fed together, we could create a bigger audience, if you will, for people who need and have concerns. So I just wanted to, like I said, bring it to the attention of the trustees to make sure that there wasn't any kind of permission, special, anything we needed, and to start that. The letter will be going out this week, and we're asking to meet November 3rd at our church location to brainstorm, get feedback, ideas for weekly hot meals for not just at our church, but there's already churches started, so let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's take the food to that.
What night did you say that was, ma'am?
I'm sorry?
November 3rd.
November 3rd.
From what time?
6:30. And I really don't.
I'd certainly like to attend, if that's okay.
Wonderful. It would be wonderful.
I think that'd be really a good initiative. I'm very supportive, so.
I just like a map of the community because I don't know where it is that I need to stay within. Colerain.
Oh, we can get you a map tonight. We got them in the outer room there.
That would be wonderful. And then I also wanted to say a great big thank you to Chief Denny for jumping on the situation with panhandlers at Walmart 275 and getting that done.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful thing, and it's an eyesore for our community.
Thank you. Appreciate the compliment. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Disciples of Christ.
Keith Miller.
I thought I did. I'm sorry. It's Disciples of Christ, where we'll be meeting on November 3rd at 6:30.
Address on Pippin?
10998. Pippin Road. I'm sorry. I thought I said that.
You did say it.
Thanks.
Well, you bear with me a little bit. I'm a little hoarse tonight, so but I'm going to speak anyway. Get up here. My concerns Colerain Township is right now. I worked for MSD. I retired 9 years ago. And for the last 10 years I worked there, the rumor was Rumpke wanted to run MSD. Now I hear Deers down there in our town and down there wanting to be a commissioner. And the commissioners are the ones that are going to deal MSD out to whoever bids for it, you know? And I'm worried about whether Rumpke's got his inside man down there so he can get MSD control. He's already charged us, what, 3 times what the garbage bill's worth? Oh, I'll tell you, I had the competition. My bill was $13 a month. That's $3 cheaper than Rumpke is right now. So did you really save $1.98? Or did we just give Rumpke a lot of cash? And the deal, that night that deal was made, Reinhardt, was it Reinhardt?
Well, it wasn't me. I know that. So, yeah, probably.
Well, somebody walked in the room representing Rumpke, and he got called straight up to the podium. Didn't sit in the meeting or nothing. Got straight up, didn't pull a paper or nothing. Straight up to talk, to defend Rumpke. So that showed the collusion there, and the one that's sitting downtown right now, wanting to be a commissioner, shows collusion with him, because they're all working with Rumpke. I could see, I mean, the collusion right there at the vote. That was the night they voted on the deal. Anybody here that night, seen that? I mean, because I was here. The guy was not in the room. So he calls up, it was recycling is what he talked about. He was going to be so nice not to have to always recycle it. He can take it now, he can leave it on his cover. That's all he had to say, you know, but he defended Rumpke. When he walked in the room, it wasn't at the meeting. And, you know, just, no. Thank you.
Thank you. Bernie, if you don't have
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm going to talk about the video that I guess we're not going to have anything on Waycross, or not Waycross, but Time Warner. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I'm going to give you a little background because I think some of you may not be up to speed with all that. When I was on the board, Todd Fortune, commissioner then, used to bug me about his, you know, of course, he grew up in Colerain, Todd did, and his mom still lived here at the time, and wanted to know why we didn't have that. And I said, well, we just don't have that. We only charge the residents at the time 3% franchise fee. And so that's where it kind of started. And when I looked at that, there was 31 various communities that were providing their meetings, etc., through the cable. Actually, only one of them charged less than 5%, and we were also one of those. We weren't streaming at the time, cable, but we weren't charging the residents that. So I was just trying to give you some background on where the heck we started from. And then in 07, we charged the residents 3%, which is called a fee, called a tax, whatever you want, but they got basically nothing for it. And the idea was always that if then in I guess in October 12th of 2010 is when we made the agreement with White Cross, but we didn't. And I guess there was a contract there that we couldn't raise our fee. The way I read the resolution. So we raised the fee in 2012, collecting the extra money, and now we're telling the people that you're going to pay more, but you're going to get less, because now we're not going to have it on the Time Warner. And I think that's a travesty. I really, truly do, because how else are we going to communicate and how people are going to know what's going on in the township? You all have decided to change the meetings early at your convenience. Let's be real honest. So people, they don't come here like they used to at all. There used to be a big crowd here at these meetings over the years. But then once we start doing this, now there's people can watch it on the TV. Now you're taking that away from them, yet you're charging them more. And I guess I really have a problem with that personally. And I really think you might want to look at that. And maybe you're doing something that's wrong. I guess you'll find out in time. And then I did call Time Warner today, not Time Warner, Waycross, and I asked them what the fee would have been, and they said it was $55,000 a year for a 2-year contract, meaning $110,000 total. Which I don't know what y'all are going to be paying, but when you're kind of shutting people out, and that's what I look at it, you're really kind of shutting them out. And let's be real open about it. And Heather was so kind to give me some information on the fees, but we're collecting $500,000 a year right now, franchise fees. And when we raised it was 3%, and then we raised it to the extra $2.5 million. So, but that 2% amounted to 200,000. So, if in fact it's 55,000, we out of that 2%, even though we got the other, we'd still net 146,000. But we're providing something to the customers. Right now, we're saying you're going to pay more, but you don't get anything. And I've seen a lot of that in the township, period, that go on that we want to punish them. As a matter of fact, I got a piece of paper that says that was the somebody's idea of how to run the business. Of course, they're not here today. But it's something to think about, that we're charging a lot of money, but we're not going to give anybody anything in return. And I have to watch it on cable only because, or on television, or on computer, only because we don't have cable in our neighborhood. And that really sucks in plain words.
Mr. Fidelday, your time's up, sir.
What is it?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And I will sit down, Dan. But you know what? The first lady stood up here and talked, and I watched you. You're playing that game, and that's not how the game
Mr. Fidelday, it's not a game. I'm a rookie.
You didn't start.
Okay, you're right. I did not turn it on. I forgot. I'm just a human being. I made a mistake on my first person that did the yes.
Jason Krasoric. Thank you very much.
No, not at all. Nope.
I came here today and to write something else down, and I put it away. And, Greg, you told me not to look, and I apologize. I want to say thank you. I'm here to say it's been a wonderful 6 years to be a part of a great family. And that's what it has been as Waycross joining all of you. I'm looking at all of your faces, and I know you all by first name, and it's very hard for me to say Mr. or Miss. It's very tough. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything. From the very beginning, from the humble beginnings of Communicator when we started, to getting Mr. Mills on television quite often, to doing our meetings here and watching the great debates and the discussions that we've had. We've seen the great beginnings in Colerain Township from the corner to where we are today. And there's not much more that I can say, but thank you for everything. It's been a learning experience for me from that very ground up to where we are today. And for you, I have to thank. And once again, thank you.
Well, thank you, Jason. We appreciate your partnership over the years. It was a difficult decision with the failure of the road levy that we had earlier in the spring. We just thought the money would be better deployed to our roads primarily. So it was a difficult decision, but one we thought we had to make, and with no reflection on the great service we got over the years. So thank you.
No, there's no hard feelings at all. I understand what goes on, and as I leave, I will not close that door. I will not say goodbye. I will say we will see you again sometime.
That sounds great. I like that. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Jason. Mr. I don't think this is you, Jim. AC.
No, that's me.
Okay. Just, that look familiar? Just make sure I didn't skip over somebody else. Okay.
Is there anybody else behind me that wants to go before me?
I just can't read it.
Beauty before age, I always say.
Go ahead.
Okay, good. Steve and trustees together, but Steve particularly, I didn't know I was going to be here until this morning when I got a call on my grandson at 104-degree temperature. Birthday's called up. So I'd like to read the email that I sent to Steve and also the trustees. Bear with me, please. Sorry I will not attend Tuesday's meeting of October 11th to speak to the township on your department's work in our parks. I was able to visit most of the Colerain Township parks this past weekend. Your department has done a great job with your great management, and we hope you continue to serve the people of Colerain Township with great leadership and care. And we want to, or I want personally to congratulate you and your employees for the excellent work you've been doing on our parks and also our roads, and keep up the good management. Again, thanks, Steve, and tell your, you got 3 full-time employees and 6 part-time now or whatever. There was 5 of them down at Trevo Park the other day when I was down there, so good to see them still around. Jason, thank you. I hope this new system that the ex-administrator decided he wanted to do works for us. I doubt it, because I'm not going to sit home and sit on the computer and watch these meetings. They're more enjoyable watching them on TV. So good job. Hopefully we get you back one of these days. Thank you. A friend of mine who is in politics and was out here at one time sent me an email, and I was quite surprised to get it from him, but I'd like to read this to you, and it's basically for us old folks, as I call us. Yes, I am a senior citizen and am constantly being criticized for every conceivable deficiency of the modern world, real or imaginary. We know we take responsibility for all we've done, and we do not blame others for it. However, upon reflection, we old citizens have a point that is not us old citizens who took the pride out of appearance, the courtesy out of driving, the romance out of love, the commitment of marriage, the commitment to keep our parents honorable and honor them, keep our communities and our families safe, and keep them in our mind. It wasn't us who cut out some of the education. It wasn't us seniors who cut out patriotism. It was not us seniors who took out all the scenes and criticism of all of our township employees or government employees. It was not us that took language out of respectful language. And it was not us that took employment, honest employment, out of the word employment. These actions and achievements that were committed in the past were, yes, committed by us senior citizens. We did not take God out of government or school. We certainly are not the ones who eliminated patience and tolerance, personal relationships, intergovernments, or interactions with others. And we understand the meaning of patriotism. And we remember those who have fought and died for our country. My fellow, and Dan will agree with me, my fellow brothers and sisters who have passed away in the service. So just look at us seniors, us old, excuse my French, farts, with tears in our eyes and pride in our hearts, as we stand at attention with our hands across our hearts, are we military people saluting as the American flag passes in a parade or is raised.
Mr. Acton, I hate to interrupt, but your time is up.
No further comments. No. You got to follow the law.
David Ward.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
I wanted to come back this month's meeting to kind of follow up on our discussion from last month about the road conditions at Miami Trails.
Excellent gift we received. Best presentation ever by far.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But before I really get started, I'd like to thank Steve for sending crews out to address what I felt like was a very dangerous situation with Miami Trail Lane. He had a crew out for 2 different days, and they removed small sections of the street there, and they did some temporary patching of those dangerous areas. That's where big chunks of asphalt were out. But as I left last month's meeting, I was kind of going over what I heard, and I feel like that at the meeting, Mr. Ritter, you had asked Steve to provide information on how streets are rated to assign them as road projects, and I have not received any information on that, and I was just curious as to whether the trustees have received any information on how streets are rated, and what your thoughts are on that. But I was able to go out onto the Colerain Township website. I found some information from issue 3 that does include pictures of streets that were determined to be serious or failed, and those streets looked a lot like Miami Trails subdivision streets. So right now that's the only thing that I've got to go on, but I kind of like to hear from you as to what we might expect as far as repaving our subdivision streets.
Okay. I think the approach we're going to take going forward is to address that either during our trustees report. I think once Steve gets up in a second to give us his administrative report, he'll address the lack of timeliness. Maybe it was an oversight, maybe it wasn't. So he'll address that, and then we'll talk about our ideas on roads. It's obviously the biggest priority that we identified at our budget work session back in June. It was the motivation for canceling the Waycross contract. Contentious issue with my colleague Mr. Insko is the summer camp fireworks. It's the reason why we're not doing that. So it's clearly the top priority for our general fund dollars. But I'll let everybody have a chance to talk in a second when they come up, either a trustee's report or administrative reports.
Okay, I mean, can I expect any type of feedback from you or anyone to let me know, or do I just keep coming back
If
to?
you want to reach out, give me offline. I can talk to you on the phone, or we can set up a meeting where you can come in.
And next time, if that happens again, just call us. It's probably an oversight on his part. I don't know, but don't wait a month. In other words, either send us an email or call us.
Right.
We'll be glad to.
Yeah, but I mean, these meetings also allow that concerns and discussion gets documented. I kind of don't like phone calls for that reason, because it's just you talk about it and then it gets forgotten from time to time. So the meetings are good for that.
You can email's good documentation.
And I've been doing some of that also.
Mr. Ward, all I can tell you is we've earmarked 100% of the Rumpke settlement money for it. We've earmarked the funds that are going to be freed up by the Waycross decision. We've channeled all that toward roads. And it's a matter of working down the list, of starting with the worst one, and then just working down the list, using the pavement condition index.
Yeah.
I'm interested in seeing where does the streets in Miami Trail subdivisions fit into the grand scheme of things. Is this 2017? Is it 2018? Or is it 2020? Or what is it?
Yep.
I think people can be patient if they know something's going to happen, but if we don't feel like we're getting any consideration in I'll use the word second-class citizens, we're kind of out on the fringes of the township.
I see your point. I can agree with it.
Agree with you. I don't truly believe that myself, but certainly when we see other streets that we feel like are not in nearly as bad a shape as ours after 30 years being repaved and repaired, and ours is abandoned, and the work was fine, but I mean, if you looked at the patched areas, it's already starting to sink down. So it's not going to last. And there's other spots on the street that are now starting to break up. So, we may have similar situations here after the winter. So, but, I just kind of like to know, where does Miami Trail subdivision stand in the grand scheme of things?
I look forward to finding that out too, definitely.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for patching that, Steve, in the meantime. The patch. Thank you for doing that in the meantime.
Mr. Pay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
With the recent leadership changes we have an opportunity to improve communication between the township and the residents, and I encourage you to do that. I think it's time to re-energize maybe and renew the plans to update the township vision and zoning regulations. Jeff started that before he left, and now that he's back, maybe with Jeff and Jenna and her people, we could get some more people involved in looking at that thing and generate some more enthusiasm within the community. Secondly, it would be great if we could approach the chamber and ask them to become actively involved in helping us to clean up this place and flags. Other ways, that they can help us with, just get it on their agenda. Invite them to come to the meeting or go talk with them and see what they would do to help us. Maybe we can get on with finishing the work at the entrance to the township. Let's get a sign that we can read when we drive down and move forward with the plans that we had, at least I thought, to improve how it looks when you drive in down north south on Colerain. Let's get Tabani to live up to the vision of the streetscape that we have by finishing the wall and cleaning up things there and extending the lighting, not necessarily waiting for the lots to be sold off. Let's find ways to tap the tremendous resources in the township and gain greater volunteer involvement in helping to shape and implement our future. Establish and encourage neighborhood groups to provide leadership in efforts to improve property maintenance, reduce crime, and to provide constructive outlets for young children. We've had two people speak tonight. One, a lady who talked about ways to get her churches involved. And we just had this gentleman here who has some interest. Maybe he needs to be in a group of people that work with Steve to look at all of our roads and get a greater understanding of how priorities he sets, so he doesn't have to come up to the podium. Take advantages of his strengths and energy. He's got energy to fix his neighborhood. How about reaching out to our high schools and technical schools and finding ways to get their energy and enthusiasm and some young people involved in what's going on at the township. They've got skills, and we probably can use them skills. I know we could. Continue to find ways to increase transparency and encourage residents to become active in willing participants, so they come up here and they don't feel like they're dragged in working issues. They want to come and help us do things. We need as many helping hands and contributors as possible to move the township forward. You guys know that. So let's set the tone for those who want to participate. Now, it's been my experience in life when you're asked to participate in things, when you're invited, good things happen. They asked me to come, and I made a difference. And it works. So I encourage you to reach out to people, Jeff and Dan, as a new opening to residents. We know what our history has been. Let's move beyond that. Let's find ways to get people actively involved and caring about, and not just start complaining about everything that's going on. I recently had a chance to look at some statistics around our school district because I'm pretty involved in that as well. And as you know, the demographics of the township are changing, and we need to be changing to really support those demographics. Over the last 10 years, the number of students attending our schools has dropped by 15%, and the minority population has increased, and the non-white population has decreased. So the demographics that we have in the township is changing, and the police know that, you might know that, but we need to be thinking about how we're going to incorporate those changing demographics in our planning. An example of that may be tonight, we had this proposal around the Clifford Park, which is a fine thing. But my question would be, maybe that needs to be in some other part of the township where there's a need besides having to go all the way to Clifford. I don't know, I haven't studied it. You could do something in cooperation with the school, Struble or something. There's been that kind of thing done in the past. And Northwest is doing some things with Green Township where people from Green Township are using the track at Montford Heights. So some cooperation, with the school system, taking a look at us. So these are the kind of things that I think become more evident, Jeff, as we start to build on our vision and getting more people involved. The last time I was there was quite a bit of input that I think they captured, but we need to look at it again, maybe re-look at it, around what is it going to take to draw people to this township, because people are leaving. That's what's happening. These numbers that we think about are changing in our school district are people leaving. And I don't want to be too bad, but it's white flight, which is happening in our township today. We've had a 35% reduction in the number of white students in the district, and we've had an increase in African Americans and Asians. So think about that, and use the opportunity to change leadership to bring people into the township. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Linville? Mr. Linville? Yep.
Hi, guys. Are you guys still thinking about putting a gate up at Clifford Park to block the traffic from coming from one direction? Is that still in the works? Because I don't know if you know it or not, Northwest school buses go through there to pick our kids up in the morning from one subdivision, like Beavis or Redskin. They go through that park, come out on Dew Hill, and pick up the kids over there on Dew Hill and Pottinger. And I didn't know if you put a gate up there, you might mess up the bus routes. I know they can change bus routes, but I didn't know if you knew that.
I appreciate the heads up. Speaker will ask you to address that when you get to your report.
And I'm all for anything you guys do at Clifford Park. I was talking to Steve a few months ago, and I'd like to see you develop a few of the other parks, maybe put in putt-putt golf or something like that. I mean, you did a great job on Clifford, and you spent a lot of money to build that other entrance here to come out in the Beavis. I'd hate to see you just throw that down the drain and close the Dew Hill. That doesn't make any sense. Now, the other thing I was going to talk to you about is when I first started, up here in March, I asked Heather about these credit cards that the employees had. And she said that is checked and double checked, and employees did not abuse it. But when I can see on some forms around here, you'll probably see something later, you let a man be a CEO, and it sure looks like he abused the credit card system you had set up. Now, whether he paid the money back or not is not the point. The point is, if he uses our credit card for anything personal, that's wrong. And I hope you kind of put a stop to misuse of our credit cards. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Thanks, Bill. Ms. Rothman.
Good evening.
Good evening. Evening.
I just have individual questions tonight, just because I'm in the process of working on a letter, so I just need some correct information. The first question for you, Dan, do you have any other jobs that we need to know about? Or are you 100% employed by Colerain?
Just like I have for 28 years, this is where I'm at.
Okay. Well, you know, the other ones always come as a surprise, so. All right. And I can't even pronounce your last name. To the gentleman that is our lawyer, how many years have you been the township lawyer?
I think this is my fourth.
Your fourth year? But you've been a lawyer for a long time, right?
39 years.
Okay. I know that we have an issue going on with Parkers, and I spoke with them, and they don't believe anything's been resolved with that as of yet. But last meeting, Mr. Rowan made the comment that he got nothing in writing from those people, saying that he did not have to pay that money, that ultimately we're going to have to pay back. With you being the lawyer, why would you not have advised him to get that in writing?
You're talking to the 2B program. The firefighter
My
2B.
dad has taught me from an early age, anybody promises you anything or tells you you don't have to pay something, you get it in writing. Why would you not advise him to do that?
I can't talk to you about what I may have advised my client to do or not to do, because it's protected by the attorney-client privilege.
Yeah, but you work for the township, correct?
I work for the board of trustees, they're the client. I do work for the
Okay.
I do work for the township, but I would be waiving my attorney-client privilege if I expressed what I told the officials of the board.
Right. When did our first legal battle start with Rumpke?
Over the expansion?
How many years have we been fighting Rumpke on anything?
Well, I would argue we're not fighting them on anything that I know of right now. The expansion lawsuit was filed in the November-December 2006 timeframe.
Okay.
The expansion proposal came in February of 2006. It was right after I took office. We conducted hearings that year, and then the board rejected the proposal in the fall period, and then the suit came around in, I want to say, November, December of 2006, early 2007, and then, of course, it wasn't resolved until last year.
All right, so really we've been fighting them roughly 10 years.
But again, I would say since we settled the case in...
Okay, and because this keeps coming up as a so-called issue,
What is it? I'm not sure I understand.
what year, when you were being reelected, did Rumpke pay into your fund?
They played on my golf outing in the summer of 2005, before I took office.
The only other thing I had on my list was, we discussed last month about you going to Vegas with Mr. Roman. You did that as a learning experience, correct?
No, I did that to promote economic development in the township and to try to improve our tax base so we don't have to ask more levies in the future. We can get by on economic development and increasing our tax base by promoting the township and attracting more investment.
Okay, I'll let that go at that. And I have one question for you, and that was, were you approached by the Republican Party to run for that seat, or did you do that voluntarily?
As I've said previously, I did that on my own. I decided that the time was right for me to get more involved with local politics.
You attend these meetings of this nature before you became a trustee?
Yeah, I attended them, and then I would also watch them when I could online.
You have every intention of running for re-election in 17?
Right now, yes, I do.
Okay, thank you.
Kathy Moore.
I have to address something that Mr. Ritter brought up at the last meeting. You commented that the previous administration was hostile to change. Well, I just want to show you that this is your change. This is what you changed. You gave 20 to 30 employees a charge card, and they charged a lot. And Mr. Rowan ate lunch out every single week, sometimes every single day, with us paying for it. Now, he supposed to work 40 hours a week, but then of course he had 3 other jobs. And we also gave him a car allowance. That is something the previous administration had never done, gave somebody a car allowance of $500 a month. We didn't allow somebody to work 3 other jobs. When they worked for Colerain, they worked for Colerain, and they worked 40 hours. They didn't get to work from home, which employees are allowed to do now. They weren't given, not all the office personnel were given cell phone stipends. The fire department would never have paid for renovations to the basement of this building. The previous administration would have never gone for that. They would have never let the police department pay for the park shed. And they wouldn't have allowed the administrator to have lunch and travel. I think he took 6 or 7 trips to Las Vegas in 4 years. Plus he went to Boston, San Diego, Disney World, and ate very well at all those places. And when he was here, he ate in Westchester, Dayton, Vandalia, went all kinds of places. So I think you need to go back to having an administrator because your CEO was not doing a good job. I know Dan, known him for a long time. Dan can do a good job. I hope he does. I hope he puts a stop to the credit card spending, because you put a stop to that, you can afford to pay Waycross. And if we have $146,000 coming in from the franchise fee, how can you justify cutting that when it's really only costing the township several $1,000s? And my other question is, I've become aware that the Colerain Township Republican Club has been having their meetings at the Colerain Township Police Substation. I don't think that's appropriate. They get to use it for free. And I am not a Republican, and I do not like my tax dollars being used for your Republican Party so that you can trash Mr. Insco at them. I don't think it's fair. I think it's highly unethical. I don't know if it's illegal, but I do think it's very inappropriate. And I don't think that it ever should have started. But I'm sure the police department was put in a position where they didn't have choice. And on that note, a question, when they went to the substation on Colerain Avenue, was there personnel there with them, or did they just let themselves in and use the building? The substation on Colerain. They used that one and the one on Colerain. Okay, so you were there. Okay, so when they're at Northgate, do we have personnel there, or do they? So we do. Okay, so we are paying somebody to be there.
Yeah, the mall pays an officer 24 hours a day on site.
And so when the mall is paying them, they're babysitting the Republicans. So the Republican clubs have free reign of the substation. Okay. The only other thing is, Mr. Ritter, you put about 5 hours a month into this, and that's because you got 1 meeting a month. Previous administration had 2 meetings a month. They didn't have a time limit. People were allowed to speak as long as they wanted. So according to that, you're making about $370 an hour for your 5 hours a month. I think you're grossly overpaid. I think you should eliminate your time limits, and I do know that previously you did have us buy your beverages for you. You had to have Mountain Dew, and we had to pay for it, but then it was keeping you up at night, so you had to switch to Grape Crush. Thank you. You can buy your own drinks now.
Thank you.
That was very interesting. Or Chief Denny, has anyone ever strong-armed you to have meetings at the substation?
They haven't. In fact, we pay no rent. We don't even own the Northgate Mall station. They let us use that for free. So it's actually their property. That's the one I was at. And then we moved it there. We moved it temporarily because the heat broke down at the Northgate one.
I think we should move on. Let's start with administrative reports. Captain, you have anything tonight?
Okay, I've got several items to report on. First being the department initiated and conducted a boat-based water rescue training event down on the river, October the 5th and 6th. We worked collaboratively in conjunction with Hamilton County Sheriff's Office Aviation Division, Whitewater Fire Department, Miami Township Fire Department, Harrison, and Ross Township Fire Departments. The training event allowed us to practice and refine our boat handling techniques, rescue techniques, and recovery techniques. The event was very successful, well attended, and benefited the township very well. Secondly, on Friday, October the 7th, firefighter Ron Stenger was deployed with Ohio Task Force 1, the Federal Urban Search and Rescue Team. They were deployed to Florida for Hurricane Matthew. We received daily updates from the team. They departed Dayton, Ohio on, like I said, last Friday night at 2300 hours, or 11 p.m., traveled by ground throughout the night and arriving in Florida the next day, only to be redirected to Georgia and eventually South Carolina. During their stay in South Carolina, they worked to rescue several people trapped by the floodwaters. Ron is expected to return to Cincinnati sometime tomorrow. Wow. Saturday, we conducted our second community smoke detector blitz up in the Compton Hills mobile home neighborhood. Two, just like the previous ones, was a successful event. This year, if you recall, we focused on mobile homes just because of the risk associated with them. We did have a death in that particular neighborhood last year. So this year, like I said, we focused on the mobile homes. Because a lot of those occupancies or structures up there are newer, not as many detectors needed to be replaced as we have in our previous two events, but the event was a successful event. We were able to get out and engage the public and familiarize ourselves with the community up there. Also on Saturday, Union Institute and University conducted their graduation ceremony. I'm proud to announce that the department had a total of 12 full-time and part-time employees graduate this year. One with a master's degree, that was paramedic Mindy Antolini, and then 11 others with bachelor's of science in emergency services management. Firefighter Matthew Baer, firefighter William Benderman, firefighter Brandon Cable, firefighter Matt Drennan, Captain John McNally, Assistant Chief Will Mueller, firefighter Matthew Noble, firefighter Shane Snell, firefighter David Stritholt, Lieutenant Matt Vangen, and firefighter Ryan Voles, all graduates this year of the Institute and University. And then lastly, also over the weekend, the department was represented at the National Fire Academy's National Fallen Firefighters Foundation Memorial Weekend. I was represented by Captain Chris Rui, firefighters Jerry Robinson, Aaron Westerfield, and Paul Riedel at the Memorial Weekend. Each year, Paul Riedel and his team volunteered to put together a golf outing in order to raise funds for the foundation. Following our LODD, our line of duty death, back in 2008, the foundation came to the aid and support of the families of Robin Brocksterman and Brian Shira. This particular year, the staff of the foundation singled out Colerain's Fire Department and thanked them for their dedication to the foundation and and their generosity. This past year, they donated almost $25,000 raised at the golf outing. So the staff there recognized Colerain Fire Department firefighter Riedel and his team for the work that they've done. Also during that particular event, Captain Rui was able to present a flag that was flown over the Capitol to FAO Darrell Gordon's family. He was the Cincinnati firefighter that passed away in the line of duty. Firefighter Robinson and Firefighter Riddle also was able to present flags to other families that they had members lost in the line of duty that weren't represented by their department. So that concludes my report.
Every time I turn on the TV, I see Alan Walls and his team being interviewed for doing great things. So the most recent story was about their decontamination kits on Channel 12. So we all owe you a huge thank you for all that. So thank you. Chief?
Take a second to recognize Ms. Thomas. Ms. Thomas is a resident who, back when the Dallas officers were shot and killed, she took it upon herself to get cards prepared and sent to those families. And she's approached me tonight. She has a card for the Palm Beach officers that were killed. And she would like anybody that's in attendance tonight that would like to sign this to please see her, and she'll take care of that.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Yes, very sweet.
We appreciate that support, and thank you very much. I want to address an issue that's kind of become a little bit of a firestorm on social media. This involves our solicitors at our highway exits and our entrances to our local businesses, the Walmarts especially. For a number of years, we've been diligently working on this issue. We've had plainclothes officers, task force officers. We've directed patrols to help kind of curb this growing problem. By their continued presence, you can see that we only have temporary wins on these battles. Just last week, we were able to secure the permission of Colerain Town Center's owner to arrest these people for trespassing if they're on the property. What we need is the cooperation of the community to stop giving them money. This is the big problem is we're good people. We want to do things to help others. We have social services available for these people if they need anything. If they need food, shelter, housing, medical care. All of our officers have the ability to make sure they get that. These individuals make it up to $500 a day is what they report to us. And unfortunately, if we continue to pay, they're going to continue to do that. Anything, if there's an issue you're worried about, if they need help, feel free to call us. We'll come out and we'll take a look and we'll talk to them. But we're really working hard to curb this problem. We just need the help of the community to do that as well.
The one thing you missed was with all this clown stuff going around, it's starting to feel like a circus, but luckily you're a ringleader, which I appreciate that. You made a crucial arrest quickly before we had to cancel any school events, so I really appreciate that. And I also want to thank you and Patrick Quinn for getting a speed detector on the nominee for a resident. If anyone else wants one in their neighborhood, please see us. And on that, real quick, whoever fixed these microphones, thank you, because I can see everybody can hear us clearly. There's no issues. They're plenty loud, so thank you for whoever fixed the microphones. Sorry. Steve?
Good evening. I'd like to give the board an update on the roadway improvement project. We are back in the Royal Heights subdivision, replacing the curb now. All curb should be finished up. They're projecting the end of October for the project. Final paving should begin first week in November. After the final paving's done, then we'll move on to replacing various catch basins that we have in the contract, and the one was in Lower Linda, so that should be anticipating in November. Our second roadway project back in Lake Hills subdivision is still scheduled for the end of this month. I will keep you updated as I get information on that. Our OPWC skip applications were submitted. Rating teams were out this past week. I understand they should have all scores out within a couple weeks. We should know how we rated in November. And in case anybody did not know, our three projects we put in for were the Royal Heights neighborhood, Jackie's, Linus, Royal Heights, Barthas, and Hengy. Our second project was Acre Drive from Banning to Burnside and Gardenia Drive. Our third project was Burnside from Colerain to Memory.
Those were skip applications. Yes. Okay. Do you think we'll have those ratings before the next meeting? I know that's not great.
I'll call Fred. I heard a rumor that they will be tallying up the ratings the next week or two.
Okay, great.
Maybe I can get some inside information.
All right, Mr. Ward's point.
I would just say, yeah, please,
Back to
please.
Mr. Ward on the information he needs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Regarding the Miami trails, as you guys remember, last meeting I did discuss the rating system, 100 being the highest, 0 being lowest on PCI rating scale. And I think Miami trails came in around in the 20s, which would put it on the lower end. And as you guys recall, I said there's probably about 50 streets between 0 and
I think he was
40.
just for the ranking list itself.
Yeah. So I can get the ranking list to him, and we'll be getting our roadway improvement project for next year. We'll be getting that in order this winter.
Okay. I'm highly sensitive to Mr. Ward's points. I talked about the board's priority on roads, but I think a fair point to make is that, you know, our folks had 2 opportunities to provide more funding to roads, and they both went down, and I totally respect that decision. I'm prepared to live with the result now. And so I guess my point is, you know, you can only do what you can do. You've got a certain amount of budget. Your direction has been, to have a balanced budget in the general fund. We're deploying all the Rumpke settlement money toward roads and doing whatever we can. So my point is, if we're doing what we can, I think your responsibility is to stretch the dollars as far as you can, make smart decisions with the money you have, and that's all we can do. And I don't think we should feel bad about telling Mr. Ward, you're 15th or 20th on the list, and we're going to do these first, and then we're going to get to you. That's just being honest with people.
All right.
So,
okay, thank you.
Okay. Jeff?
I don't have anything other than to say it's great to be back. And
I'd like to welcome you at the outset. I feel very bad about that. I intended to do that. It slipped my mind, so welcome back, my friend.
No problem, no problem. Day 6 is going great, and I'm excited about building the momentum in our economic development and our planning, and it's great to be here. It's great to see familiar faces. Thanks.
The comments start getting a little more positive at our meetings and make this a more pleasant experience for you.
There you go.
First, I would like to echo Jason's comments on behalf of the board and all the department heads that have worked with Waycross for the last several years. They've done a fantastic job offering us the opportunity to educate our community through a different avenue we never had before, the ability to get out and through the communicator meetings to highlight different functions and different services within the township to let people know that we are working for you. But, decisions are made, and we have to move forward. We have to create the opportunity for people to get information, hopefully at a less cost. We are running parallel this evening with Waycross, the internal system that is operating now. It's operating off the camera in the back to your left and to our right. And the link we've committed to the link being available on Thursday by noon. That allows us to meet a schedule if the IT director is off for some reason. That gives us a chance to get the meeting up by noon, no later than. If we can get it up sooner, that's great. If everybody's working, we'll get it up and make it available to the community. But Thursday by noon is the latest. So we definitely look forward to making that and having that available to everyone. Secondly, I'd be remiss and if I didn't acknowledge the fact that we spent last Friday and Saturday respecting the 25-year tenure of a Colerain Township Police Detective, Denny Deaton. Those of you that attend the meetings, remember we honored Denny a couple of months ago for his 25 years of service. Well, Denny chose to retire on Friday of last week and go off to a new whatever's ahead of him. It's difficult, it's exciting, but he's a good friend, and we are going to miss him. On Saturday, the chief and his staff honored Tom Harriman. Tom was recognized, may have been the same night as Denny, for 30 years of service within the fire department for his part-time service. And Tom hung it up on Saturday, and I'd be remiss if we didn't make a public notice that we appreciate their service and their commitment to our community and the work that they've done. Can't be replaced, but we can only say thank you to them for everything that you've given to us.
Your intentions, or I should be asking the chief, is your intent to backfill Denny planning internally and then backfill that position at the entry level patrol officer, or what your thoughts are?
I presented an officer at the last meeting that was filling Denny's spot as backfill.
Okay, good.
She's already.
Thank you.
Thank you. In respect to the collaboration with the churches, our community health collaborative includes the faith-based community as we work on problems such as the heroin epidemic in the township. With our fall prevention initiatives within the fire department, the faith-based community is a very big part of our discussions. And I will invite you, we have our next meeting Thursday at 11:30 here, and that's the collaborative is coming together, and we'll discuss the heroin problem. But we agree with you that the community they're a huge part of our ability to respond to not only the heroin problem, but everything else that a community that's 60,000 people has to face. So we welcome you, and certainly the invitation is open. So, yes, ma'am, right here. To Mr. McVeigh's comments about collaboration, and the one note that I could speak directly to, I agree with him, but specifically about the demographics changing in the township, that's part of the discussions that we've been having since January of 15 that are really focusing right now with the Christian Emphasis Group from the YMCA, which again is part of bringing the faith-based community and to talk about the changing demographics of our community and how do we as a township see our community 5 years, 10 years from now, and how are we going to work together to make sure this is our community and we're doing the right things for everyone that's here. That group is important, and we've been meeting, and we'll meet again in October the 24th with all the players and all the churches and the leadership from the police and fire departments and the township to make sure that we are doing the right things and talking about what our future is. So we're on board with that. The other pieces I've learned in the last, since September, I guess the board approved me the 13th, I started the 14th of September, is the number of Rumpke phone calls that I get in respect to people's concerns, complaints, issues that have arisen and since April 1. And one thing that I've started to initiate is a conversation with Rumpke on maybe identifying a solution to some of these problems, and don't know where that's going to result, but I want our community to know that we're opening up a dialogue and we're working on it. So we're not just listening and saying, too bad, but we hear what you're saying and we're going to try. So I think that's important for our community to listen to. And other than that, I think it's important for you to understand as a township, and I apologize to the board, but this is my first meeting as the administrator, and I'm just humbled by the chief taking a moment to recognize years of service. I think it's important to say thank you for our employees that do stay around, because this township was one that people didn't stay around for. We did not have our first retired police officer until 2011. So we're proud of the organization that we are. As a leader in this township, I'm proud of everyone that sits at these tables because I know how committed they are and how much they were willing to give for the 60,000 people that live here and the other 100+ thousand that travel through this community on a daily basis, whether to shop or work or whatever the case may be. And my job as a responsible leader is to take care of the community. If you look at the top of our organizational chart, the community is on top. The second group is the Board of Trustees. My responsibility is to them. And then I'm responsible to the men and women who are sitting here tonight, and they're sitting out in that audience or driving those police cars or those fire trucks or patching those roads or whatever the case may be. My job is to advocate for them and take care of them and do everything I possibly can to ensure that they're doing the best work that's possible. I was in a meeting last week, and I debated on whether I was going to say this, but the first 15 minutes of the meeting that involved several area communities was about how they sit and watch our meetings. And they watch our meetings for entertainment value. They watch the meetings for the opportunities to laugh and end the night. And I was just completely embarrassed. I was thoroughly embarrassed because I'm proud of the commitment that I made 27 and a half years ago to work here and stay here and live here and bring in the best new people that we possibly can. And a lot of them sit here and they're working for us right now. And I want our community to be one that is looked upon with what these men and women deserve, and that's respect for the work that they do and the commitment that they make. I think that gets lost in a lot of what goes on during the meetings is that there are great people committed to doing great work. You just got to believe in them enough to trust them and talk to them, and the talk goes to that, Mr. McVeigh, open up and create dialogue and talk. And I think you'll get the answers that you need to get. You might not like them, but I think we're there and we're open to having those discussions. So that's the person that I am. Yeah, I screwed up on the clock. First time I ever did it. But the reality is, I have no agenda. I have no intent. My agenda is to take care and do my best for this community. So I apologize to the board for going on, but this is an important part in my career and my community that I want you to know why I'm here, what I do, what I believe in, and who I'm responsible for. So I thank you very much.
That's well said, Dan. That's on tape. I hope it's watched by many, because I think it needs to be taken to heart by a lot of people. And hopefully we can all move forward as one team and be constructive and positive at these meetings more. But we do have a serious problem that has to be taken care of immediately. Your nameplate still says Public Safety Director. Hopefully we can support for a no for you. Let's move on to trustees. Let's move on to trustees report. Mr. Ransco.
All right. It's October, which means it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Last week, we lost another great leader in this community to another form of cancer. Our friend Joe Bertram was an exceptional student athlete and worked his way up to being principal. He exemplified what it means to be a Colerain Cardinal by literally doing everything right in life. If you heard about the recent Clubs for a Cause golf benefit, then you've heard the story about all three of my high school friends fighting cancer. Unfortunately, two of them are now gone physically, but with us in spirit. So I have two favors to ask all of you. If you knew Joe Bertram or Joe Moulter, please write a letter to their kids so that the kids know what great men they are. My other favor is a prayer request for them and all of our friends, family, and unfortunately even employees fighting cancer. If you aren't a prayer warrior, that's fine. Cross your fingers, send good vibes, whatever, because cancer just isn't fair. Our alma mater's homecoming parade is this Friday, October 14th. They always need convertibles. The parade will start at Heritage Way. It exits Colerain Township Government Complex at 5:30 p.m., so traffic flow around the entire complex will be one way starting at 4. I know the McCall family, they're not here right now. They were here earlier, but my condolences to them. The last name, when I heard it, didn't register. I went to school with them. I hate to hear that, but I appreciate them coming out to honor the YMCA lifeguards. I thought that was really cool. October 21st from 6 to 9 is the second annual Forever Young Halloween dance at the Colerain Senior Center. If you'd like to show our seniors some love, they're looking for some raffle prizes, if anyone would be so kind. October 22nd is the Great Miami River Cleanup. Every summer, my friends and I, we gather at Heritage Park and we float down the river. It really is beautiful down there. I'm forever grateful for everyone that helps keep it clean. October 25th from 2 to 5, my friend Tiffany Robson's Dental Clinic is offering free cleanings and exams for kids who have never been to a dentist before. If anyone would like more details, just send me a message. Sergeant Ed Cordy reminded me that the Citizens Police Academy is every Thursday from now until December 15th. I graduated from the Citizens Fire Academy, which I also highly recommend. Everyone should sign up. It's an incredible learning experience. Classes are from 6 to 9, and they provide food. I also want to thank the incredible amount of volunteers that come to these classes as well. Myself and a few other concerned citizens went to Brightviews Open House on Colerain Avenue. It's next to Kroger by Lapland. I did receive constructive criticism about them coming to our community. Brightview met all the necessary zoning requirements, so it never came before the Board of Trustees to vote on. And contrary to rumors, it is not a methadone clinic. I'm an eternal optimist. So my goal is that police will continue fighting addiction so well that we won't have a need for clinics, not because I want a company to go out of business, but because I don't want people suffering from addiction. Ray Compagna did a good job answering tough questions. I invited him here tonight to this meeting since it is a sensitive topic, but he wasn't able to make it. He is, however, doing another open house this Friday, October 14th from 5 to 7. Again, I highly recommend everyone go and ask questions because it was very informative. On the topic of addiction, the next thing I want to talk about were the beggars on 275 Ronald Reagan. I value life more than anything on this earth, and the beggars along the highway ramps are human beings. They're uncles, they're grandsons, they're brothers, they're people. We have lots of criminal history on these people that I get daily complaints about, and I want anyone with addiction to get help, but they have to want it for themselves. I'm thankful to live in a community where residents try to help people in need, Unfortunately, our residents are accidentally supporting these people's drug habits out of the kindness of their hearts. I've talked to our police chief countless times, and the laws have made it hard for us to put an end to this. The beggars will be here as long as we support their addiction. So I thought if they can stand there and collect money, then I can too. Except I'll give the money that I collect to the Colerain Police Department. So I made a sign, and I waited to be tagged in another picture with these guys panhandling because I knew it was a matter of time. And I figured the more money that I can collect standing next to them, the less money they have for their addiction. I think my girlfriend was more nervous standing on the exit ramp because it's dangerous than anything else. But, you know, I told her I walked 2,200 miles to California from right here in Colerain, mainly along highways, so I understood the danger. I would never want to put anyone in harm's way, but I had just had enough. I thought if we don't step up and take this part of our community back, then we have no one to blame but ourselves. And we know the problem, we have an answer. So, like clockwork, I was tagged in a Facebook picture saying that the addicts were back, so my girlfriend and I drove up, and I had my sign saying, support police, not addiction, right? And I bought a couple of waters. One was for me, one for the beggar, and I had my Uber app open so I could offer him a ride to addiction services down at Burning Place on the out chance that he would accept help. When I pulled up, the beggars weren't there, but two of Colerain's finest were. Earlier, our officers were able to get Stalin's and the Walmart Plaza to agree to no trespassing, and so far it's worked. The most recent picture that I was tagged in on Facebook were the beggars' totaled car. Right now, we've taken back our highway ramps, but I need your help to keep them from enabling addiction. If anyone wants to help, grab a sign, make one yourself. Just don't block the roadway because you can be cited. This is the last meeting that we have until the presidential election. So since I didn't have any kind of a political background, I followed the race very closely, and it's helped me become a more informed trustee in the process. I was fortunate enough to talk to Bill Clinton and Donald Trump, and it was a great learning experience. One of Trump's campaign directors actually asked me to be one of his delegates before I was even sworn in. I didn't get elected to further my political career, so I ultimately turned it down. But no matter who gets elected, I refuse to let any president interfere with my dreams or goals. Too many people fought or died for our right to vote, so regardless who you're voting for, go vote, and at the very least, you're honoring our veterans' ultimate sacrifices. I also wanted to congratulate Detective Denny Deaton on 25 years of service and happy retirement. He said two things that really spoke to me. He said, make a new friend every day, and he said how thankful he is for many things that Colerain provided, and Colerain provided much of that for him. Detective Deaton earned every bit of it, so forgive me for getting personal as I finish my report, but Detective Denny's right. Colerain's provided so much for so many of us, and his email was a healthy reminder to never take anything for granted. I originally thought that this trustee position was volunteer-based, but it does pay a salary, and it has since afforded me a modest condo. I will never forget, when I got done painting, my girlfriend said, oh my gosh, it's my dream home. And so I feel it's only right to thank all of our residents. I feel like elected officials don't thank their electorate or the residents enough. And while I'm at it, and then I'll be finished, I also want to thank our police, fire, roads, park employees, and previous administrations for making this a great place to live since my great-grandparents moved here 6 decades ago. I work for all of you. I do my best to reflect your wants and needs, and I always make myself available anytime any resident wants to talk. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Introduce. How much did you raise for the police when you did that? Did you get? Just out of curiosity.
When I got there, they were coming.
Oh, okay. All right. Just getting back to some of the comments that were made earlier tonight about engaging the community. You know, when I first started on the board, one of my main goals was to engage more residents and get them involved and to give them notice of events, meetings, and different things that are going on so that they can feel like they're more part of the community. I do think that's important. Admittedly, it's a work in progress. Anytime a resident has reached out to me, I've made myself available to either meet with them on an individual basis or in a group setting. I see some of those people here tonight, and I'm more than willing to do that with any of you. In regards to getting notices out, I just hope you all know that I am working on that with Administrator Malloy and the other department heads. It's on our radar. We understand that there's a need to help people become more aware of what's going on in the township and different opportunities for them within the township. So you will be hearing more about that probably within the next month or two. In regards to Waycross, I do appreciate their service, but I think at this time it's the fiscally responsible thing to do to end that contract and to record our meetings in-house. We're going to record these meetings from gavel to gavel, and if there's an uproar and people aren't happy with the way that the meetings are recorded or the quality of the video, then we can always look back at it. But right now, we need to understand that we have to make money available where we can, and right now, the board agrees that this is a place that that we could possibly get some more funding for roads. So I think it is important to put it into context. In regards to voting, I agree with Trustee Insco. It's important. You need to get out and vote, no matter where you stand on candidates or issues, and to also educate yourself on all the candidates, national and local, and to vote all the way down your ballots. Recently, this past month, we started a coat drive. Our Colerain Fire and Police are partnering with the Veterans Administration down at the Medical Center, and we are collecting gently used and new coats, adult coats only. You can drop them off at Station 25 or 26 on Springdale or Galbraith Roads. We're also accepting them at the community center. So it's our hopes to have all these coats collected before the next meeting and give them to veterans before Veterans Day on November 11th. This is a project that I'm excited to start here in Colerain. It's an idea that Administrator Malloy supported fully when I came to him with it, and I'm very grateful for that. It's been pretty successful so far. We've been collecting coats for about 10 days now, and I would estimate, I think I've picked up about 30 coats so far, so it's going pretty well. I hope that it keeps going this well, and I'm looking forward to giving that contribution to our veterans. I think it's just a small way to show our appreciation for our veterans, and it's important, to come together as a community and to show them that we care about them, that we're willing to help in any way that we can.
Thank you. Well, I want to start by also thanking Danny Deaton for his years of service. He was a friend as well as a colleague, and we're going to miss his leadership in the detective ranks. There was a resident that raised a point about Clifford Park, Steve. Why was Clifford chosen for the autistic playground?
Yeah, they were doing some work out at Word Park, and I suggested they brought up the issue, the fact that there would be other grant opportunities available, and I suggested Colerain, Clifford, Heritage. They evaluated all the parks. They felt all the facilities and all the needs, parking was available there at Clifford, and that's why they chose Clifford. I did ask him about Colerain. Dr. Stanton did request some information from Northwest Schools on how many special needs children would be available to use something like that, and she never got a response. So there is some collaboration going on.
I just was curious. It's a valid question.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We've got an upgrade in the technology front tonight besides the new taping system. I want to commend Administrator Malloy for this. The trustees now have the entire agenda as well as the supporting documents loaded on an iPad that we're using up here to decrease the use of paper. So I want to commend him for continued embracing of change and saving a little money at the same time. So
Appreciate that, but I have to give it to Lindsay Elmer's all the credit.
Great.
She prepared all the packets generally, and she embraced it and took it and made it happen. So it was just an idea, but she did it all. So thank you for.
Give her our thanks and gratitude. At our budget work session back in June, we talked about the issue of communications with the residents. The point was made tonight about that. Jog my memory on where we ended up on that. Did we agree on a semi-annual newsletter? I can't remember.
You know what? You asked me, and I don't remember either. Does anyone?
Let's look back on our notes.
Right.
Or ask anybody else who was there, see if their memories can remember.
I think we were going back and forth between possibly a semi-annual newsletter and maybe doing an e-newsletter.
Right. So I think
That's right. Kind of left the conversation open.
I think the board should talk about that over the next couple months, and maybe we could start fresh with something, either at the start of the year in December. I think it's a valid concern.
Absolutely.
It's a worthy endeavor to pursue.
Mr. Inez, you want to? Okay. Just so happened this was a discussion from that conversation. Mr. Inez and I met with a young lady last week just to discuss the differing ways we can connect with our community based on age, based on interest levels, based on availability, all those things to provide resources and information based on what they want. Not just here's the letter, here's what we say, accept what we have, and that's it. But allowing the community to say, I'm really interested in crime alerts and I'm interested in the parks, or whatever that may be. And we're actually bringing the young lady in and representative in next week to meet with all the department heads to kind of talk this through and what it really means as we evolve.
Absolutely. And what the service does, what the application does, is it pushes out a newsletter, essentially, and the user picks how often they want it and also the content that they want. So, we'll still be creating content, but they can choose, if they want to hear about community events, police or fire, meeting notices, road closures. They can choose what they get and how often they get it, and what form. So it could be, an email. Well, I guess right now it would probably just be email, I think is what we discussed.
Mr. Acton had a nice tribute to seniors tonight for all their great attributes and talents. I would suggest probably some aren't the most tech savvy, so we just need to be cognizant of that as well.
Correct.
To make sure we reach everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, last thing I have tonight is, with regard to the solid waste district that we started in April. We've heard from people, over the last 6 months who didn't have any garbage service or another provider. So we've heard that viewpoint, but I would argue there's a whole other viewpoint that's not being addressed, and I'm going to try to do that tonight. I prepared a short presentation. I'll try to go through this pretty quickly about where we stand with the waste district. We're now 6 months into it, and we've got some hard data and results to look at. I think they're pretty impressive. So if you look at 2015, we were on a rate of 4.7% of all of our solid waste was recycled in the township. That generated close to 1,000 tons. You can see we were on the same trajectory in Q1 prior to the inception of the district on April 1. So on April 1, the solid waste district started. April 1, right, Q2. So Q2 2016, you can see we were right about 683 tons recycled, and that rate went from 4.7% to 12.8%. So it almost tripled in one quarter, which I think is really impressive. If you blend the first quarter without the district and the second quarter, we ended up at 9.3%. We had a total tonnage of 942. But the really interesting thing is when you get into the residential recycling incentive dollars that the Hamilton County Solid Waste District extends to communities in Hamilton County. And it's based on the number of tons that they recycle. And I'll get to the next slide where we show the tiering system and how those dollars are awarded. But you can see in the first half of 2015, we received about $8,000. Second half of 2015, $8,000 almost again, $7,900. First half of 2016, when you blend, the two quarters together, we went up to $18,835 for the first half of 2016. These dollars are obviously awarded on a semi-annual basis based on first half, second half. So in the second half of 2016, based on our run rate, based on our trajectory, we're going to earn between $35,000 and $40,000 on these residential recycling dollars that are extended to Colerain Township, which is just an awesome achievement. And as was mentioned earlier, the Colerain Springfield Ross Solid Waste District is going to be recognized shortly with the Innovative Community Partnership Award from the Hamilton County Solid Waste and Recycling District. That event's coming up in November, and I'm going to be glad to attend that to accept the award on Colerain's behalf. This chart just shows a simple bar chart, and it kind of just dramatically illustrates the growth of the tons recycled. We were on a downward trajectory, and now this is going to exponentially increase here in 2016. So great Great job there. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about with the residential recycling incentive dollars. You can see they award the dollars on a tiered system. So it's a tiered approach where, you're at the bottom of the barrel, you only get $16 a ton, and as you increase, that it goes up exponentially. So the 5 to 9.99%, the second one from the bottom, is where we were for this cycle, and that's because it was burdened with the first quarter without the district. So if you extrapolate where we're recycling now, based on the last two quarters, Q2 and Q3, we're going to be in this 10 to 14.99% tier, which is going to earn about $24, and that's what's going to generate that $35,000 to $40,000 that I mentioned. However, if we can just increase our recycling percentage just 2.5%, it's going to send us to the next tier, and we're going to earn $4 more per ton, and that's going to generate $5,000 every 6 months, or almost $11,000 annually for the township. So it's really an attractive program. What's the bottom line for Colerain Township residents? From April through September, the first 6 months of the solid waste district, our residents saved $186,500 on their waste disposal, township-wide. Over a full year, that obviously is double. $373,000 is what our residents over the township are going to save as a result of the solid waste district and their lower waste disposal bills. Now, the only problem with the residential recycling incentive dollars is that it's very restrictive in terms of the uses that you can have with that money. And I've listed them all here. I'm not going to read each one, but education, awareness, recycling efforts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we've talked tonight about the clear and present priority that roads have for us. It'd be nice to be able to free up some dollars to address other things, like perhaps the Park Pass program. That's not very popular with a lot of our residents. What I would challenge Administrator Malloy to do in the future is maybe see if we're expending some general fund dollars out of pocket for some of those specific activities currently, where we can then avoid that outlay, replace it with the new residential recycling incentive dollars that we're getting, and then redeploy those dollars perhaps to something like retiring the Park Pass program, which generated about $20,000 last year net when you factor in the people that we paid to check the passes and everything else. It'd be nice if we could retire that and do a swap out there. And the last thing I wanted to add is just to remind everybody on what it is an acceptable recyclable item. Plastic bottles and jugs, glass bottles and jars, aluminum, and steel cans, paper, and cartons. So I think it's been a success so far. We had some hiccups. There's some bad feelings with a few who we're using waste disposal. I understand that. I get it. I actually agree with Ms. Rothwell on her statement in the past that if we re-up this in the future, perhaps we should have some type of ballot initiative if that's possible. I wouldn't be opposed to that. It just decides the township if we want to keep doing it. But I just think the first 6 months of this is a clear success story, and it's being drowned out by some of the other voices, some of which are legitimate. So anyway, this wasn't to be a contrast with those other voices, just to show what we've accomplished here for the first 6 months of the solid waste district. So I think it's a great story. Okay, thanks for your time this evening on that, and let's move on to public hearings. And we've got a follow-up on the demolition proposal on Dunraven.
Thank you, Mr. President. What I have up on the screen now is a memo from Captain Mark Walsh from the Colerain Township Fire Department, who did visit the site last week and noted that no substantial change has been made to the property at 9832 Dunraven. I do have an updated picture actually from this. So as of last week, nothing had changed except for a dumpster being placed in the driveway. As of today, this is what the property looks like. So there has been some tar paper placed over the hole in the roof, and then all of the plywood has been removed from any of the front openings and the side openings. The plywood still remains on the back openings. You can see right in through the property. My best description of what's happened here is essentially the property is just not secure now. This is from this afternoon, and then that is the rear of the property from the street behind. You can see that it is still boarded up. This was from last week, October 4th. These are pictures I took on October 4th. So this is essentially what it looked like at last month's meeting, minus that dumpster, which now sits in the driveway. Zoning permits are expired on this property. For the interior renovation, they were permitted in March of 2015 and expired in March of 2016. I did speak with the Hamilton County Building Department. Technically, their permits are expired as well, though they have not moved forward in any sort of adjudication process to officially cease any work going on.
Okay. What's going to be your recommendation for? Sorry. What's going to be your recommendation for the board tonight?
The recommendation is to approve the demolition of 9832 Dunraven.
Okay. From a safety perspective, I mean, I certainly wouldn't want that house in my neighborhood. But let's just hear the, let's open up the public hearing and see if there's anybody that has to speak for or against the demolition. I'll make a.
The public hearing is still open from last meeting.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
We continue. Thank you.
Okay. So we don't need a motion to reopen it or anything.
I believe we continued the progress last time, and so we received a further report at this meeting.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience tonight that'd like to speak for or against the demolition of this property on Dunraven? Okay, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing now.
Second.
Mr. Anderhus?
Aye.
Mr. Inscoe?
Aye.
Mr. Whitaker?
Aye. My colleagues have any thoughts?
I never want to set someone up for failure here, but did we check any financial records to make sure? Because if I recall correctly, he said he was going to put like $80,000 into this place. I know the neighborhood pretty well. That's up there. That's really up there with property value.
I don't have any information on the owner's finances. What I do have is a copy of an escrow fund check from the insurance company that was issued to the township in the event that we needed to demolish the property.
Oh, okay.
So we do have the funds here to demolish.
For me, I think we're kind of lenient to give them the 30 days and for them not to be here tonight to speak as to why there really hasn't been any major improvements.
The plywood's removed and
It's
the
just as
roof's
unsafe,
patched.
if not more unsafe at this point. With now, there's nothing covering any entry access points. So.
Did he say how long it would take him to put windows or a door on there?
I haven't spoken with the applicant.
I think the standard for the demolition is if the property is unsafe and unsecure, and we heard testimony last meeting to the effect that it was at that time, and clearly, based upon the photographs that we're seeing now, is it's even more unsafe and unsecure at this point.
Mr. Parvier, is the proper motion to just simply proceed with the demolition, or is there something more formal we should draft?
I think we have a resolution for the demolition, and I think it would be proper to move for the passage of the resolution.
Right, it's Resolution 51-16, final resolution for demolition of the property at 9832 Dunraven Drive.
Okay, the chair will make a motion to proceed with that resolution. Approve it.
I'll second.
Mr. Anderhus?
Aye.
Mr. Inscoe?
Larry, would it be the right thing to do to abstain in this case, just on the out chance the timing's bad, he's putting in windows right now or something crazy?
Well, I don't think that's, I mean, that's totally up to you. From a legal perspective, that's not a reason to abstain. That would be, if you wanted to abstain, that would be entirely up to you. I will say that the township does not act for 30 days after this resolution goes into effect because there's an appeal period that's available.
Aye. Thank you.
Aye.
Mr. Whitaker? Thank you.
Aye. Thank you. New business, public safety. Chief Cook.
Okay, first item I have is to recommend the promotion of Lieutenant Shane Packer to Captain of Emergency Medical Services. The recommendation to promote Lieutenant Packer to Captain is to fill the vacancy created by the result of the promotion of Assistant Chief Will Mueller in August of this year. The annual salary for Lieutenant Packer's promotion is $78,206.89 in accordance with the Career Firefighter Board of Trustees MOU effective Sunday, October 23rd, 2016, with a one-year probationary period.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Chair, a second.
Mr. Anderhus?
Aye.
Mr. Inscoe?
Aye.
Mr. Whitaker?
Aye.
The second action is to recommend the promotion of firefighter paramedic Eric Dower to lieutenant. The recommendation to promote firefighter paramedic Dower to lieutenant is to fill a vacancy created as a result of the promotion of Lieutenant Packard to captain. The annual salary for Lieutenant Dower's promotion is $75,170.06 in accordance with the firefighters and the Board of Trustees MOU effective Sunday, October 23rd, 2016 with a one-year probationary period.
Chair will make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Mr. Underhies?
Aye.
Mr. Ritzko?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Public Services.
First item we had this evening was regarding the presentation, request for approval of letter of support to apply for grant for the from the National Institutes of Health, and I believe we have addressed that.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Chair will second.
Mr. Underhies?
Aye.
Mr. Ritzko?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Next item, approval of a resolution that the Township Administrator represents the Colerain Township Board of Trustees in an agreement with Hamilton County Engineers Office. Recommend the Board of Trustees approving the resolution that the Township Administrator shall be and hereby is duly authorized, empowered, and acting agent of the Board of Trustees for the purpose of executing and delivering to Hamilton County Engineers Office all necessary instruments to effect a good and sufficient conveyance of said temporary construction easement from the Board of Trustees. This is in relation to the Pippin Road improvement projects. The temporary easement will be in effect for 24 months from the date of entry by the Board of County Commissioners. The area of the temporary construction easement was 0.003 acres, very minimal, and they need this to replace the sidewalk in front of Skyline Park.
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
Mr. Underhies?
Aye.
Mr. Ritzko?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Last item, approval of resolution to declare nuisance and ordering of abatement.
Chair will make a motion to approve. Second.
Mr. Underhies?
Aye.
Mr. Ritzko?
Aye. Thank you. Aye.
Thank you.
Administration.
Just a couple of housekeeping items. With the separation of Mr. Birkenhauer, there were several posts that Mr. Birkenhauer represented the township on that I'm recommending filling those posts. First is Hamilton County Development Corporation's Tax Incentive Review Committee. This is the committee that reviews our CRAs, etc. So Mr. Birkenhauer represented it. I recommend my appointment to fill that vacancy. Currently, Mr. Ritter is our representative to the OKI Board of Directors, and Mr. Birkenhauer was the alternate. I'm recommending filling that vacancy with me. And Ms. LeCount and I had a conversation about using the OKI Intermodal Coordinating Committee a little bit more strategically, and so I think it would be wise to make me the delegate to the Intermodal Coordinating Committee and Jenna the alternate. That is the committee that oversees all of the basically the prioritization of transportation projects that use federal dollars.
Chair will offer a motion to approve.
Absolutely, I'll second.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Underhies?
Aye.
Mr. Ritzko?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Everything, Jeff?
That's it.
All right, I have one item for the board's action, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Hamilton County Budget Commission. Just for education's sake, the commission provides the authorized tax rates, both voted and unvoted, and gross levy proceeds, which is comprised of the estimates from the property taxes and all the state reimbursements. This report summarizes the authorized tax rate for the voted levies, the date approved by the voters, the length of the levies, and estimated tax revenue, inclusive of only the non-business and owner-occupied credits and the homestead and exemption reimbursements. Ms. Harlow has prepared the resolution. Ask the board's approval so we can move forward.
we number these pages? I know we said that one other time before. It just makes it easier to find them, whether it's digital or in front of us.
They're numbered on.
They're not on. It's administration D, but if I want to find it real quick, I have no idea what number that is.
I don't have any idea. Maybe Lindsay, we can look at.
Okay, thank you. Roll call.
All right, did I finish calling the roll? I'm sorry.
I don't recall. I said aye.
You said aye. Mr. Ritter? Aye.
Hi. I have a question, and it's entirely possible I'm getting too old, but did we have 3 roll calls on all 3 of those appointments? We did one.
We did one.
Yeah,
Okay.
we only needed one.
So I'm not going crazy.
I got overzealous and went all out with all 3 of them at once. Which
He was just excited. It's
The good news
okay.
is we were not getting senile.
That's right.
The good news also is that we got done what we wanted to get done.
That's right.
That's good.
I whispered to Jeff that I thought
I thought that's what you were.
Yeah.
I was reading your mind.
This resolution is very different because it's not our format, auditor's format. It's not mine.
Fiscal officer's report.
I'd like to ask for the board's usual approval of payroll, purchase orders, and receipts.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Drees?
Aye.
Mr. Inscoe?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
And I think you may have noticed that I got up and went to the back a couple times. Apparently my mom wanted to see some of Chief Cook's folks this evening. So she got a ride in the ambulance and everything. She's doing fine, but I appreciate your patience. I meant no disrespect leaving the meeting. I just really wanted to see what was going on with them. So, thank you. That's all I
Good
have.
this evening?
That's
Great. Is there a motion to adjourn? So moved. Do you have a second?
Mr. Drees?
Aye.
Mr. Inscoe?
Before I say so, I just want to say thank Jason from Waycross yet again for all his years of service, and then Laura for coming, everyone for coming. Really appreciate it. And please, if you knew Joe Bertram or Joe Moulter, please write them a letter for their kids again, so they know what great men they were. On that note, aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye. Have a nice evening, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Just FYI, we got the CIC real quick.